Scientists say the universe is made up of protons, neutrons, and electrons. But what they failed to mention is that the universe also has a lot of morons.
Grab a chair, mess you with, and this is down. It's my podcast. This guy's insane. Rock your brain. It's just a sound. A Steve here vault.
Schmack 'em a gob. It's time for another Vieira Vault, and we got the top 10 new wave of British heavy metal albums, according to me and Brutal Brian, who just released an amazing album from his band Midnight Spell called Sky Destroyer. Now, in this interview, we talked about it, but we had to record him later on to talk about, look at here's the links, here's how to get it, and we did record it, but it's gone. So I'll do it for him. In the links below, you can order on their Bandcamp, you can order their CD, their vinyl will be out, you can pre-order that. All the links are in the description below, so I couldn't find it, Brutal, if you're listening. I know you redid it for me and it didn't come out, but I just did it now. Order it. You're going to love it. And at the end of the show, we're going to play something from it, and then you're definitely going to order it. So to order it, in the description below, click order, and your life's going to be better. All right, so let's get into this. Here's me and Brutal Brian with our top 10 new wave of British heavy metal albums. Hey, Schmack 'em a gob. It's another Vieira Vault, and I have, for the second appearance on the show, Brutal Brian. Hi, Brutal Brian.
How's it going? It's good to finally be here.
Good, man. Do you remember the first appearance you had on here?
I do. It was after we played in Colombia with Thrash or Die.
That's right. Yeah, it was the whole band. That was a wacky episode.
Almost the whole band.
Who? Oh, yeah, we had the one that can't speak English not join us.
Yeah, something like that.
Yay! Brutal Brian, and we're going to talk about our top 10 favorite British new wave heavy metal bands. But before we do that, Brian's got some exciting news of his band called Midnight Spell. Would you like to share with us the exciting news?
Yes. We have a new album. It's called Sky Destroyer. It's going to be out on Iron Oxide Records. It's going to be available on CD, vinyl, and cassette.
Yes, that is true. And right there in the description below is a link where you can order it and check out the vault at the end of the show. I'm going to play a song from this album that Brutal Brian's going to pick. And I know that's going to be tough, Brian, because all the songs are good. They're like babies. I know how that is. But you're going to have to pick one, because we're going to give everybody a taste of this amazing album that I've had in my possession for quite a while. And I have been jamming it in my car like crazy. And it's so good. And you have a video, right? The video's already up.
Yeah, it's called Lady of the Moonlight.
Very well done. Conceptual video with the band playing, and Paolo, the singer, is the thespian in the video. And it's pretty damn cool, dude. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's one of our poppier songs, I think, but it's very catchy and goes over really well. I think that's a big fan favorite.
That's right. We'll play one of the heavy ones at the end, so you can get like a flavor of what you're gonna expect on this album. So and Brian's got a big little history here, and he also plays with Yngwie J. Malmsteen, and the Florida Legends Hell Witch. My two bands, Combat. Me and Brian formed Combat, and I don't know if you've seen it, Brian. There's a lot of people that are saying, "Man, do more Combat. I like it more than Thrash or Die." I'm like, "Shut up, you fucking poser." And he's in Thrash or Die too. He's a busy boy. Is there anything else you're doing that I don't know?
I play for NZM.
That's right, NZM. I forgot about NZM, which is Nick's band, the guy that sings. Yeah, he sings for Yngwie too. You're in the band with Yngwie with him.
Yeah, insanely talented musician.
What?
He's an insanely talented musician.
Oh,
Nick.
I thought you said semi-talented.
No, insanely talented.
Yes, he is, and it's really good stuff. And check that out. You guys made videos too.
There's a video for Time's Running Out, which is the title track of the new album, actually.
And you also played on one of his solo songs, right?
What? You mean Nick's solo stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did something. It was with Steve Price from Thor.
Yes.
They did an EP together, and I played drums on one of the songs. It was called Breakaway. Kind of a ballad type song. That was fun.
I actually like that song. And I'm not the biggest ballad guy, but that's a really good ballad. I dug it. And we had Steve Price join Combat on stage. What was it?
That was
Thunder in the Tundra.
That was a classic moment.
Thunder in the Tundra.
Yeah.
That was a fun night, Brian. I don't know if you know this, but after that show, I came home and had a threesome.
Really?
Yeah. That's why I left early.
Interesting. Now I know.
Yeah. Now everybody knows. So, Brian, we're gonna do another episode. We're gonna dwell into the metallic mind of Brian. There's a big story that I know a lot about him that I want you all to know, and that'll be in a future episode. But for this episode, we're going to talk about our top 10 new wave of British heavy metal albums. I made a list. Did you?
I made a list, yeah.
All right. I want to say one thing first, and you might disagree with me, you might not. Who knows? But I know, since I'm not going to mention this band, and the possibility you might not, I don't know. But there'll be people going, you forgot Witch Find General. I'm not a fan, dude. Are you like them?
You know, it's so funny you say that, because that is a band I could never get into either.
Wow. And isn't it true? I did not know that about you.
That's funny. I was getting ready for this podcast, and I was thinking, I wonder if this is going to come up.
No, it's going to come up in the comments. But now it won't, because we're already explaining it. Because if we don't mention Witch Find General, there'll be comments like, what about Witch Find General? Or the people that would say, where is Witch Find General? Those people always say, it's up your ass. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. Did you put down some honorable mentions that didn't make your top 10?
I didn't write down any, but I do have a few in mind.
Name them.
I have to give a shout out to a band called Aragorn.
Okay, I don't know them. I don't know that band.
They were. I know them because I discovered most of these bands. You know, I have a Neat Records singles compilation, and this band Aragorn had a couple singles. One was called Noonday, and the other one's called Black Ice, and they're really good. And they recorded an album in, I think, 1984, but it never came out until like 2011 or something. And the album is fantastic, you know? It just never saw the light of day.
There's a lot of new wave of British heavy metal bands that don't have albums. They only have singles.
Like, that made this a little difficult too. Yeah,
I didn't add none of that. I just added full-length albums. We covered one of those bands, Warrior.
Yeah.
And no, it's not the L.A. Warrior. It's not the Vinnie Vincent Warrior. There was a band in England called Warrior, part of the new wave of British heavy metal, and we covered one of their songs. God damn it!
Stab You in the Back.
Stab You in the Back, which I didn't know I couldn't make out some of the lyrics. So some
those
of those
lyrics are totally indecipherable.
Yeah,
What's funny though is that they put out some. Because when we did that cover, I searched high and low on the internet for the lyrics, and I found nothing anywhere. But since we did that, at some point, like the last year or two, the lyrics are now available online.
Son of a bitch.
But I do like what you wrote.
Yeah, man. I kept it very new wave of British heavy metal, you know?
Yeah.
Is there any more honorable mentions? You want to think about it as I give you mine?
Let's hear one of yours.
Samson Head Tactics,
All
which
right.
features Bruce Dickinson. Not
Good
the
choice.
greatest album, but Riding with the Angels kicks ass. You know that song, right?
Of course.
That song rules. There's a couple other ones. Go to Hell is a good one, and but I mean, I don't think there's 10 that I like way
You know
more.
that's a cover, right?
Riding with the Angels is a cover.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Who did that?
I can't tell you off the top of my head, but I do know that it's a cover.
Interesting. And it's also on the live Dive Live VHS. Bruce Dickinson opens the show with Riding with the Angels. All right. You want me to keep going?
No, I got one.
Okay.
Power Games from Jaguar.
Okay. I know Jaguar, and Jaguar didn't make my list, and they should have been one of my honorable mentions. All right. Demon, Night of the Demon.
Oh,
Didn't
that's a
make
good one.
didn't make my list though, but it's an honorable mention.
Not one of the more influential ones to me, so maybe that's why I didn't make the list, but that is absolutely a classic.
Yeah.
In fact, Midnight Spell, before we play live, I like to play One Hell of a Night from Demon over the PA as our intro song.
Nice. Which, by the way, the very first time Midnight Spell played live, I introed them on stage.
Yes, you did.
What an honor for you guys. I felt so happy for you guys that night.
That was a great night.
All right, more Blood and Thunder. You know that one?
Oh, more, yeah. That's a great band. That's
Yeah.
got Paul Mario Day from Iron Maiden, the original singer of Iron Maiden.
Right. Exactly, yeah.
I only really know the other album. They had two albums.
Oh, I
And
didn't know. I haven't heard the other one. All I know is Blood and Thunder. Didn't make my list, but it should be an honorable mention.
that one came second. There was another one before it. I think it's self-titled. No, it's called Warhead.
Okay.
And the song Warhead is amazing. It's like one of my favorite songs, but the album as a whole didn't really make much of an impact with me.
Do you think it was better than Blood and Thunder?
I don't even know if I've heard that album in full, to be honest with you.
Okay.
That's really reaching there. That's some obscure stuff.
Yeah, but that's one that I discovered on one of those compilations when I was a young kid. You have any more? I got three more before that. It didn't make my list.
No, I think that covers about it. Maybe yours will ring some bells.
Maybe mine is on your list.
All right, well, what do you got?
All right, I'll give you this. See if you can guess, which I'm pretty sure he will. Tony Iommi produced this. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, Quartz.
Yes. Stand Up and Fight.
Mm-hmm.
Think it's a great album. Now, these two were really hurt to keep off my list because I really love them both. Savage, Loose and Lethal.
Mm-hmm. Great album.
That song, Let It Loose, just kills. And this one really hurt too. Tokyo Blade, Midnight Rendezvous.
Okay.
With If Heaven Was Hell. But that's it. Anything else I forgot? If anybody out there, like I said, it's up your ass. That's why it's not on my list. So, Brian, give us your number 10.
Number 10 for me, I'm going to go with Satan's Court in the Act.
Great album.
And I almost feel like this hurt to put at number 10, but
Right.
I have to say, it is not my favorite Satan album.
Right.
That's why, because I have to say, I think Atom by Atom, which came out in like 2015, somehow tops it. But I don't think that could be considered new wave or British heavy metal anymore.
No, and also like a disclaimer, I do have some British heavy metal albums that are not from 1980, like 82, 83 is as far as I go. Because I still consider that new wave of British heavy metal, the early 80s,
Yeah. But
All right.
Court in the Act is an absolute classic. And I have to say, Brian Ross, one of the best vocalists of all time.
Hell yeah, man. He's up there with me.
Of course. No one tops you.
Thanks for not laughing, dude. I own that fucker on vinyl, man. I've I discovered Satan as a fluke. I just saw the album and bought it. It was one of those, I'm going to take a chance with this. And I ended up loving it. And spoiler alert, it is on my list, but it's not my number 10. My number 10, which is probably higher on your list, because it is a fucking classic, but you need to know your new wave of British heavy metal to know this band. Holocaust, The Night Comes. The Nightcomers.
The Nightcomers. Yep, that's an absolute classic of an album.
Fucking love it. Death or Glory, Come On Back, Maverick, Heavy Metal Mania, Push You Around. Dude, that shit smokes.
Not a bad song.
No, not a bad song on the whole album. And absolutely love that album. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't find out about Holocaust till like the late 80s. Very underground, not very well promoted. And I used to get Kerrang! Magazine back then, and they might have been in them, but, they didn't really promote it well enough.
You know that they changed their name at some point to Hologram?
Hologram?
Yeah.
That sucks.
They're back to Holocaust now, but they had a brief period where they were under the name Hologram.
Maybe they got a little flack for it.
Yeah. That's a band with a large discography, man. There's a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah, I know that, man. Hard to keep up with that one.
And it's really, there's a lot of good stuff in there. There's some hidden gems.
And were they all, did they take years off? Or are you talking about even from after the Nightcomers, there was more, a year or two after releases?
They were active, I think, up until, 1984 or something like that. They changed their name to Hologram, and they put out one album or something under that name.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure what happened after that. I know they came back in the late 80s or something, and they just been putting stuff out consistently since then.
Interesting. What's your number 9?
Number 9, I'm going to have to go with Tank, Filth Hounds of Hades.
Dude, fuck, I forgot Tank, man.
Did you?
Yeah. God damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that album, man. It should be on my top 10, but fuck it. I wouldn't even give that an honorable mention. That is an amazing album.
It really is. The riffs are incredible.
Yeah. Fucking love it. All right.
Unpolished and it's just the raw spirit of the movement of that time,
That's why that's what I love a lot about these albums is the production.
Yeah.
It's like I would call what's a good I thought of a term the other day for albums like that. Oh, I got it. Tell me if you like this term. Poverty metal.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I like that. Poverty metal. I forgot what album I was listening to. I was like, dude, this is some cheap ass production, but I love it. I love poverty metal. So, all right. My number 9, and boy, I love this one. And this is another band with a large discography. But I got to give it to Spellbound by Tigers of Pang-Tang.
That's a fantastic album.
John Sykes, Gangland, man. Fucking Hellbound, Tiger Bay. What a smoking
Tiger
album.
Bay is an incredibly underrated track. That is probably, if not it may be my favorite song on that album. Yeah,
I got to give the nods to Gangland, the way it kicks off. But yeah, Tiger Bay would be my second favorite off it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
The vocals. I love the screams in Tiger Bay.
Yeah, it's badass.
Yeah. John Dever is a killer vocalist. He's an actor now?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah. He's like he quit music and became a Broadway actor.
Is it like musicals he's doing now? Do you know?
I've never been able to find any information beyond that. I think I added him on Facebook or something at one point.
Right on. And the great John Sykes, man. What the hell happened to him?
Yeah, he doesn't quite like the music industry these days, so he just chooses not to be a part of it, which is a shame.
It is. And I remember it was about I don't know, 5-6 years ago, he announced he started a band with Mike Portnoy, and that didn't happen. I was very excited, you know.
I heard that he and Carmine were gonna be doing something together.
Yeah, Blue Murder reunion would be sweet. Did you
Yeah,
like Blue
but
Murder?
they were gonna reform Blue Murder, but I heard that John Sykes wanted to make it John Sykes's Blue Murder, and he wanted to do stuff from like all the bands he's been in. And Carmine was like, "Well, what about me? I have a long history too,"
Yeah.
and which I can understand. You know, that's just
Did,
something I heard somewhere. You know, who knows how true that is?
did
But
you know? Did you know that John Bonham, who I consider a better drummer than Carmine, ripped off Carmine in some things?
well, I
Uh,
don't think he ripped him off. I mean,
no,
yeah,
no,
I know they took
he
me up.
admitted it. He admitted it.
Yeah,
And when if you watch footage of early Vanilla Fudge, I don't know. I'm not a drummer, dude. I don't know the term for it, but he would do these things that Bonham would do. And there's a story where after they played a show, you know, they were touring together. Carmine went up to, Carmine went up to John Bonham saying, "Dude, I like how you did those triplet things." And John Bonham said, "I got that from you." And Carmine goes, "Dude, I don't do triplets." And he goes, "You did it on this song, on this album." And then he goes, "Oh yeah, I did."
they also played the exact same drum set.
Yes, you're right. Ludwig, right? Was it
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they both had two 26-inch bass drums when they toured together, and they both had the exact same set. And when they would take one down, they would, you know, during changeover, they put up basically the same exact set. But John Bonham switched to the single bass drum.
And it was because of Carmine, Bonham got an endorsement deal from Ludwig on that first tour.
Yep, that's also true.
We saw Carmine, man. We went to a clinic of his.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
That was awesome.
I love Carmine.
Yeah, he's a badass. All right. Did you give your number 9?
Yeah, I did. It was
All
10.
right. Number 8, this is where it gets really hard for me.
Okay.
Other two were okay, but I'm telling you right now, this album and the 7 before it can all be number 1.
Okay, I can understand.
You already picked it. My number 7 is Satan Court in the Act. Dude, Blades of Steel, No Turning Back, Trial by Fire, Break Free, The Ritual.
Are we at 8?
Yeah, we're number 8.
Yeah, you said 7.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, no, what I meant to say was number 8 and 7 below all could be number 1 on my list.
Okay.
So, yeah, that is, we already talked about Satan Court in the Act. So give us your number 7.
You mean my number 8?
Your number, I'm going, okay. Just don't pay attention to me.
Number 8, I'm going to have to go with On Through the Night from Def Leppard.
Ah, okay. As much as they like to deny it, that is a pure new wave of British heavy metal album.
I agree.
You
know, they turned into a different band later on, but that album is just incredible. It's so heavy and so raw.
All right, I'm not going to repeat everything I think of this album because it is much higher on my list, but I will tell you this. 1980 for me was the greatest year of metal. And I'm telling you, you got Back in Black, Heaven and Hell, you know, Saxon, and Wheels of Steel, and all these albums. Dude, On Through the Night was the one I listened to the most in 1980. When I heard Rock Brigade on the radio, which they actually played it on the radio back then, I was like, holy shit, I got to go buy this album. And, dude, I could not stop playing this album. I don't consider the next one, which I like a little more, High and Dry, a new wave of British heavy metal album. To me, it sounds more like AC/DC, you know?
You know, I love that album, but something is just, it feels like they were more contained or something. You know, they were just so energetic, and they just didn't translate into the studio when they went in to record that album. You know, there's a live recording from like '83 when they were on the Pyromania tour, and all those recordings blow away the studio recordings of those songs.
Are you talking about the LA Forum bonus disc? Because I have that.
It might be.
Yeah, I came in the bonus disc of the, remaster, whatever. But I bought the box, because it brought the EP and all this rare shit, and I had to buy it, and it also brought that live album on it. Yeah, that's I gotta revisit it because I saw that tour. I remember they played Mirror Mirror, which is probably my favorite song from them. Lady Strange, another one.
The worst thing about it though is that it's only 30 minutes long.
Oh, the show?
Well, I mean, I don't know if they were opening or what, or if that's all that made it onto the DVD. But it's only 6 songs.
Well, I have the full show on vinyl and CD. The encore, I forgot what cover they did. They brought out Brian May. Damn,
really?
Yeah. I think it was a CCR. It's not a song you would expect.
Interesting.
And Brian May came out during the encore. Yeah, it is available. You can get the whole show, I think, only in that box set. Did you get the early years that came out like earlier this year?
No, I haven't.
It's so good. I mean, have you heard songs like Glad to Be Alive? And
I've heard most of them, but I don't actually own it.
Yeah, Good Morning Freedom is it was the B-side of Hello America. Dude, that song is one of their heaviest songs ever. Which, you never heard Good Morning Freedom?
No, I've heard that.
Yeah, that song is pure new wave of British heavy metal.
Yeah, and you know what? You mentioned it's the B-side of Hello America, which is a song I just never really liked.
Well, I like it, but it's my least favorite on the album.
And every time I listen to that album, I end up skipping it. They
got a lot of shit for that song too. The British fans turned their back on them because they thought they were selling out to America.
Well, I think that the fact that it's not a perfect album in my eyes because of that is why I put it up higher on my list. But otherwise, I really, really love that album.
It Could Be You, Answer to the Master.
Yeah, the riffs, man. The riffs don't lie.
Pete Willis, man. All right, now we're at my number 7.
Yes.
And this album, I don't know if you ever... Were you ever into The Sweet, that band The Sweet?
Not heavily. I'm familiar with them, but I never really got heavy into them.
You should look into them. I mean, they've had some... This album right here is very, very... I hear Sweet all over this album. Shit, I hear Sweet on Through the Night, too, in some of those songs. But I'm talking about Angel Witch. The album Angel Witch.
Okay.
I hear a lot of Sweet in it. Atlantis, Sorcerer, Gorgon, Sweet Danger. You know what's funny about the song Sweet Danger? I did this subconsciously. When you listen back to this episode, you'll hear it. The theme to my podcast is the same fucking riff, and I just did it which features your singer Paolo. Paolo sings on the intro to this, but it's the same. And I just was sitting there hey, I want to do I was at Josh's, recording. Hey, I want to do an intro to my thing. And I just came up with that riff right there. And then when I heard this album the next time, I was like, oh, fuck, I ripped off Angel Witch.
To be fair, I think that riff has been used in a lot of things.
That's true. That is true. I can't remember now, but yeah, it is kind of
it's a commonly
borrowed riff.
Commonly borrowed riff.
And the riff rules. But I love it. What is your number 7?
My number 7 is one you already mentioned. It's Holocaust, The Nightcomers.
Nice.
Which that album had a tremendous impact on me, It's just so simple and effective.
Oh, yeah.
It's just really, it could have only had been created at that time by those people,
Mm-hmm.
And the lyrics, I've got heavy metal music in my blood.
Yeah.
It just doesn't get better than that to me.
Exactly, man. And the production, Total Poverty.
Yeah,
You
you know,
gotta love it.
I hear a lot of AC/DC in that album.
I do too. I actually do too.
They even
Uh,
say I like bands like AC/DC. I like to head bash every night.
that's right. What song was that?
That's
Heavy
only
metal. Oh, what?
only as young as you feel. I think
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
either yeah, no, it's that one.
Right on. All right. We're at number 6 now. This one, dude, it's technically new wave of British heavy metal, but it doesn't sound like it because this is a game changer here. Venom, Welcome to Hell. I mean, you gotta admit, it is new wave of British heavy metal.
Yeah, I didn't really think about that. I didn't think about Venom when I was making my list, but it
Yeah.
is. You're right. It is. It was a game changer, but it is still new wave of British heavy metal for sure. You know.
And it was on Neat Records.
Yeah, I was gonna say if it's on Neat Records, it's new album.
Yeah, it's definitely what do you call a game changer. It doesn't sound like anything on this list, but at the same time, you know, it's got that. Well, I mean, this is like this ain't this is more like homeless metal, not poverty, you know. But
Yeah.
Poison, that dirty little bitch, and Witching Hour, and In League with Satan, Angel Dust. I mean, Jesus, man, it's such a historic album, you know.
You know,
And
I might have to say I like black metal a little bit more.
I was about to bring that up. Most people prefer black metal. I prefer Welcome to Hell, though they're almost sister albums, though. You know,
Yeah, it's one is a continuation of the other, I feel like.
right? But that's definitely my number 6. What's your number 6?
My number 6, also one that you already mentioned, it's Tigers of Pantang Spellbound.
Right on. You picked that one, huh? Yeah. A lot
Yeah.
of people would pick Wildcat.
You know, I love Wildcat, but it just doesn't compare to Spellbound for me.
Right.
You know, they almost sound like two different bands. You know, and maybe it's because there's two different singers, but you know, Spellbound is much more polished.
Yeah. It is an awesome one though.
Which is probably because they had the producer on that record is Chris Sangareed, who produced Painkiller.
Yeah.
He produced an Ingve album. He produced a bunch. Like if you just look at his discography, he produced everybody. You know.
And he was, I believe, the engineer on Sad Wings of Destiny.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy was awesome. He died not too long ago.
Yeah, I know. But you know, one of the things that he's known for is his drum sound, which I was never a big fan of. You know,
You didn't like the drum sound on Painkiller?
no, it's all sound replaced and sampled, and it's overproduced, and he kind of, you know, was a front runner in that. You know, and he liked electronic drums, and he liked, you know, sample replacing, and it was he was not about organic drums, which as a drummer is not something I'm a big fan of.
We won't mention the person's name, Brutal, but we both know somebody that thinks Painkiller is all drum machine.
Well, yeah,
You think so too?
I think certain songs are.
Hell Patrol, huh?
Hell Patrol, Leather Rebel has to be.
Okay. Yeah, if I was to pick one, I'd say Hell Patrol, because that kind of sounds a little too precise.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, but it's not hard to believe because by that point, Judas Priest had already used drum machines. Ran down as a drum machine.
My podcast is known to take a left turn, and I got to bring this up about Ram It Down. This is the rumor I heard about the Ram It Down tour, which I saw. I don't know if you ever seen footage of the Ram It Down tour. Did you ever see footage of that tour?
Maybe at some point, but not that I can think of.
Well, the drums were on top of a huge thing. I mean, that shit was like 20 feet in the air. Here's the rumor I heard. In that thing that the drums were on, there was a drummer in there playing Dave Holland's parts. That's a rumor, though.
I've heard that. I
You've heard it
I,
too?
I don't know how you could even accomplish such a thing.
Right. Without seeing the band members and shit.
Yeah. But you know what is confirmed now? Recently, Don Airy came out and said he played bass on Painkiller,
I saw that. I saw that.
which is
Uh,
something I had heard. Is that there's no bass on that album? It's keyboard.
that's what I heard. Yeah. I actually mentioned that on my YouTube when I
Yeah.
do my news segment. I brought that up, which is that is wild. All right, like I said, Brutal, everything should be number one. So my next one, it hurts to put at number 5. And I could have gone with an earlier one. I'm not going with their 1980 debut or Wiped Out and all that. I got to go with All for One from Raven. There's just something about that album. Maybe, because it was my first one I got. But, shit like Sledgehammer Rock and Hug Drawn and Quarter, Break the Chains, Take Control, Mind Over Metal.
Mind Over Metal is one of my favorite Raven songs.
And I don't know, I think as a whole, and don't get me wrong, I love Crash Wallop and Wiped Out. I love all that shit. Star Wars is awesome, but
Star Wars, incredible song. That's so
love
heavy.
I love it, but man,
I
there's
think
something about
everyone
All
who
for
knows
One.
me knows that I love Raven.
Yeah, we both do, man. And we hung out with them. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is my number 5. I never got to see Raven till 2004 in Tampa. They played at 2 p.m. at a metal fest I went to.
Sun and Steel.
Sun and Steel, yes. And I was completely floored how, man, John can still hit those fucking notes, man.
Yeah, I have to say, he's my favorite bass player of all time.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's just
great.
too underrated, man. Like, nobody plays bass like him.
Yeah.
Nobody.
And I don't think anybody really sounds like them either. They sound a little too, I don't know, man. I think that's the band that's the most in your face than any band I ever heard in my life. They really are an attack band. The way Mark with those riffs and his screams, and it's just so, I don't know. It's like, as far as like new wave British heavy metal, they're even more violent than Venom. I just feel they're very
crazy. Well, they were both pretty insane stage presence wise, I want to say.
Yeah. But musically, I think Raven has more of an attack.
Yeah.
Quality.
Well, they were definitely more precise. They were incredible, songwriters.
Yeah.
Venom was more just chaos,
Yeah.
They were precision.
Yeah, and they added hooks, but it was just athletic rock, as they would say.
Yeah.
Raven rules. We saw him. That was the last concert I went to, not including the Made of Metal, tribute show we saw. But I think that last show, what was it, with Y&T and Madam X? That was the last show, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know that we were both there.
Yeah, I don't think there was a show after that I attended other than a tribute concert.
Yeah, I think we might be exactly the same on that one.
You know what happened to me after when Y&T went on stage? Did I tell you that story?
No.
3 songs into it, my father calls me.
Oh yeah, I remember this. Yeah.
Yeah, that the guy. I mean, again, we're getting off track here. That shit was going on even till last month, the leak. Since then, and the plumbers kept coming to my house saying it wasn't my problem. Then they found out it was, and I gutted out my whole bathroom, and I have a brand new shower and toilet and everything, a whole new bathroom because of that. And that was, what was that, February? That show?
Yeah,
I think it was. Yeah, insane.
It's been a slow year, huh?
Yeah. But all right, so that's my number 5. What's your number 5?
My number 5, again, one you've already mentioned, is Angel Witch from Angel Witch.
Yeah. historic.
You know, I mean, Kevin Hayborn, his voice is so unique.
Yep.
It's just What's your opinion on the albums that came after that?
Hit and miss, man. And I didn't find any of those albums to be as solid as the self-titled Angel Witch, but there's some good stuff on some of those albums. But honestly, the Angel Witch is the only one I own, where all the other ones I've heard from friends and through the years that never really, you know, made me go out and buy them. I mean, do you own a lot of Angel Witch?
I can't say I do, but I've heard most of it, and I like Screaming and Bleeding.
What year did that come out in? Was that the 80s?
That was the second one. I think it came out in like 85 or something. It has a different singer.
Right.
I don't know why, but it does.
Yeah.
The guy was a good singer, but I don't know why Kevin Hayborn would ever like step down from vocal duties. You know? Like his voice is such a big part of the sound.
Right. Maybe financially, probably out of work or something.
But he was in the band. He was he went from the singer and guitar player to just playing guitar.
I did not know that. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insanely stupid. Wow. Damn. All right, my number 4, and yeah, it's predictable, but it's undeniable, man. Lightning's to the Nation, Diamond Head. You know, and, you know, which, by the way, I knew Diamond Head before Metallica covered Am I Evil, which I was like, whoa, they're doing a Diamond Head song. I never owned this album till much later, but my friend had it on cassette. And I remember I loved it. It's Electric and Helpless and Street of Gold, you know, and I finally did get purchase it many years later. The Prince.
Yeah, they got a lot of singles.
Yeah. And the album I bought from Babuglia, our friend, brings all those singles. It's like a double album. It's weird, though, because the album cover is all white with autographs on it. But it's not
that, yeah.
It's not real autographs.
On vinyl, right? Do you have it on vinyl?
Yeah. It's odd, but it's
well. That's how it was originally pressed.
Oh, you see, I didn't know that. I always thought it was that cover of the sky and shit. Wow, you're educating me.
If you read, though, because I read the booklet that came inside that
right
inside that edition, and it said that they were trying to be mysterious or something. They were inspired by Led Zeppelin, who put very little information on the album covers.
Yeah.
And so they thought, well, how much more mysterious can it get if you just put nothing?
Yeah. Well, I had no idea. I thought the original album cover was that artwork shit.
I think I've seen even a couple different album covers for it.
I've always owned the best of too on CD, but most of it's this, you know. But yeah, that's my number 4 pick, Diamond Head, which were projected to be the next Led Zeppelin. You heard this shit? The story behind them? Yeah,
I've heard that.
Yeah, but shit happens, man.
They're too unique to be the next anything. They didn't really, sound like anything else, especially at that time.
Exactly, yeah. And I don't know, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Diamond Head, but I don't think they have that kind of variation Led Zeppelin had, you know, to take them to that level, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they had the same kind of commercial viability.
Yeah, that was the word I was looking for. But great album and made it to my number 4. Should be number 1, but whatever. All right, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is Iron Maiden, Killers.
Interesting. That is the band that, if you're going to talk about the new wave of British heavy metal, that band's at the forefront. And you know, something that's a little unfair about the new wave of British heavy metal is that there's so many bands that should be classified as new wave British heavy metal, but the reason they're not is because they've been around too long. They were around way before 1980. Like, come on, British Steel is a total fucking new wave of British heavy metal album. Heaven and Hell is a new wave of British, but these are, you know, legacy bands. So didn't make it to it.
Well, I think that you know, they were trying to get rid of the Black Sabbath name around that time.
Right, they wanted to carve their own niche.
Tony Iommi was trying to change the name of the band every time they got a new singer, but the record label would never allow it.
Yep.
You know, but if it had been under a different name, it would have probably been, you know.
Oh, definitely be new wave of British heavy metal.
Yeah.
Because that album is historic.
Yeah, but Killers is just incredible. You know, it's one of the best heavy metal albums of all time.
Right.
You know.
And are you more of a Di'Anno guy than Dickinson?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, me too. And, you know, a lot of people don't, you know, when I try to explain to people, man, it's like, you know, Steve Harris is known as this bass god. But if you really think of it, man, those two first Iron Maiden albums, he was all over that fretboard than any other album, you know? And the song Prodigal Son, I mean, is there any song from Iron Maiden even remotely like that song? You know, they had more of a original type of thing. Like, you know, they took more chances with Di'Anno than they did with Dickinson.
I feel like once they hit Peace of Mind, they found a formula, and they had a couple hits, and then they just kind of ran with that. Yeah,
the Gallop, you know,
and it just kind of blended together for me.
But I'm with you, man. Definitely the Di'Anno stuff is my Iron Maiden.
No, but I love Number of the Beast too, though.
I love everything up to Peace of Mind. I mean, Power Slave, but I can pick a song here and there I like from almost every other albums, but the first two, forget it, man. You know, I mean, I love Number of the Beast, but there's a couple tracks I didn't like off it. Same track Steve Harris didn't like off it, and but you know, I'll tell you something funny. Peace of Mind, the song I always hated from it was Quest for Fire, and I heard it on my shuffle like 2-3 years ago in my car, and I was like, dude, this song fucking rules. I mean, it's stupid. It's stupid, but it's awesome. You know, in a time when dinosaurs. But that middle section with the fucking solo, I was like, damn, this is really good. You know, are you a fan of Quest for Fire?
You know, for the longest time, I was always like up to Number of the Beast, and that's it.
Really?
And it was more recently. I mean, I always liked songs on most of the 80s albums, but as albums I never really like listened to much of them in full, and because I just didn't think it really compared. But more recently I have revisited some of it, and I've you know, it's definitely better than I remember it.
Oh yeah, no, I you know, I grew up with that stuff. That was, you know,
I like Peace of Mind. Peace of Mind, you know, has like Where Eagles Dare is a great song.
Yeah.
You know, and
Flight Icarus, The Trooper,
Revelations. Those are all amazing songs.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the first time I saw them too. I mean, I was a big Maiden fan, but I was always, even, you know, Number of the Beast blew my mind, Peace of Mind, Power, they all blew my mind, but while they were blowing my mind, I still said the first two. Those are my favorite Maiden albums, you know.
For me, I gotta say it's a trilogy for me, you know. With
Number of the Beast and the first, the Clive Burr years.
Yeah, basically. Right. You know, that's when they were really like a force to be reckoned with, you know.
Unfortunately, I never saw that lineup. First time I saw them was Peace of Mind. But all right, so that was your number 3, 4.
No, that's my number 4. I don't think you said your number 4.
Yeah, I did. It's Diamond Head.
Oh, okay.
Light into the Nations. All right, number 3. Something you already mentioned, and like I said earlier, there was no album I heard in my favorite year of metal more than Def Leppard's On Through the Night. made it to my number 3. I think that album is extremely underrated. The band hates it. They're always slamming it. And, dude, Wasted. I mean, that whole album, When the Walls Come Tumbling Down. I just love everything about this album. And it does have, new wave of British heavy metal quality, but I hear some Sweet. I hear some Queen. But then I hear young kids on there too. Young, very talented kids. And I was lucky enough to see that lineup. I saw the High and Dry tour with Pete Willis. And
what about Def Leppard EP?
I have that too. But that I didn't hear till many years later. Yeah. And thank God they released it on Record Store Day. And I got myself a copy of it.
Yeah, I have that.
Ride Into the Sun, Overture, and what else is on there?
Get Your Rocks Off.
Get Your Rocks Off. That's
Which,
right. Yeah.
That version of that song is so heavy.
Yeah. I prefer that version, actually.
Yeah, me too.
Do you own the New Wave of British Heavy Metal double CD that Lars put together?
I do, actually, yeah.
That has even a different version of Get Your Rocks Off.
Does it? I thought it was the EP version.
I got to listen to it again. I think it's not, but I could be wrong.
No, I'm pretty sure it's the EP version.
Okay. Which, speaking of that CD, another killer band that just released singles, Sweet Savage.
Yeah.
That song, Eye of the Storm, dude, that's total James Hetfield. It's like, if you play that for anybody, they'll think it's James.
Man, I love Sweet Savage.
Oh, me too, man. It's a shame they never released an album.
Well, they did, actually, but it was way later.
But not with Vivian Campbell, though.
No. They had because I have it. They their first album came out in like 1996.
Jesus.
And it was called Killing Time.
Was that song on there?
Yeah, and it's got a different version, and I remember hearing it for the first time, and I thought it was like gonna be the version we all knew, and it's like they got a really good guitar player on that album, but he almost plays like Yngwie. It's like if you get some guy who's like super shreddy and polished playing on it.
I'll check it out. I wasn't even aware of that album. I just know the singles. Killing Time, Eye of the Storm, and I think just one more. I only know 3 songs from that band, but all 3 songs rip.
One of the songs, they have a song called Straight Through the Heart.
Yes.
And it's caught in the middle.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, same riffs.
Which is funny because they used the title and the riff, but they switched for different songs.
Yeah, they switched the titles, yeah. You're right. I didn't think of that. All right, that is my number 3. Def Leppard, On Through the Night. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is I think this was one of your honorable mentions, which I have to give it a pretty high place on my list. It's Loose and Lethal from Savage.
Yeah, I don't blame you. That album, it's kind of attacky too, like Raven, It doesn't sound like Raven, but it's attacky.
Has some of the worst and best production I've ever heard in my life. I would never want it for myself, nor I don't think I'd ever want to hear another band record like that, but it just worked for them.
Right.
The guitars sound like buzzsaws.
Yeah, it's very gritty and, like I said, attacky. It's very raw.
Does it cut through, and is it heavy?
That opening track, man, Let It Loose is damn.
I know that's the famous one, and it's fast and all, but really, like, I don't even think that represents the band very well.
Well, it doesn't represent the rest of the album, that's for damn sure.
Because, and I don't mean that to knock it either. Like, I feel like the other songs on the album are so much more mature. Know, they're some seriously great songwriting and great riffs.
Yeah.
Cry Wolf. Dirty Money, Ain't No Fit Place is one hell of a song.
Yeah.
Midnight Spell even covered Berlin on our demo.
That's right. That is right. Yeah. Which is that demo still available?
It is on our Bandcamp.
All right. Check the links below. All right. Brutal number 3.
That was my number 3.
Oh, so I go to number 2 now. All right, just like what I did with Raven, I'm going to pick a later one. I believe it was 1982, but they were around for... They released 2 amazing albums in 1980, but I got to go with Denim and Leather by Saxon as number 2. All the way up at number 2. That album, man, Prisoners of the Night, Never Surrender, and the band played on, title track, Fire in the Sky. That whole album is just... I love Out of Control, the commercial track off it. I just think that's their greatest album, and I put it above Wheels of Steel and Strong Arm and Law. But I'll ask you this question, because I don't know a lot of people that would agree with me on it. I am more of a fan of Strong Arm than Wheels of Steel. What's your opinion?
To be honest with you, it's really hard to pick.
I have to go Wheels of Strong Arm. You know,
I don't even know if I could pick. They both.
No, they're both great.
One of them feels like I feel like that's another one where one feels like a continuation of the other.
Yeah, they could be sister albums. You're right.
You know, I think they came out in like the same year too.
Yeah, they did. They both came out in 1980, and they came down here opening for Rush, and my parents wouldn't let me go.
Oh, that's
but I did get to see the Denim and Leather tour in Miami at the Gusman Center, opening for Triumph, and they already had Nige in the band, even though Pete Gill played on that album.
Yeah.
Nige was drumming for him already on that tour. But Denim and Leather is my number 2.
Saxon's just one of the best bands ever.
They still release amazing albums too.
Which, I actually don't have any Saxon on my list.
Wow. That's shocking.
It is shocking, and I didn't really think of it, to be honest with you. For some reason, they just didn't really register as one of the new wave of British heavy metal bands for some reason. I guess because they have so many albums.
Right.
They're not one. I just think of new wave of British heavy metal, and it's usually singles, and bands only have like one album.
Right.
And Saxon is still going strong today, and it's like that doesn't. I guess that's why they kind of maybe slipped my mind when I was making the list.
Yeah, they're up there, though, man. They're one of the forerunners with Maiden,
Yeah.
Definitely, one of the biggest, especially of that time. Saxon was well promoted. Motorhead's another one. They could have made the list if they didn't have several albums before this, They could fit the mold of new wave British heavy metal with fast air.
Yeah, I mean, in that regard, Saxon was going like in 1977 or something.
Yeah, I believe the first album was 79.
Yeah, they might not have put anything out until 79, but they were going for a long time.
Yeah, but so was Maiden. Maiden I think was right. 76.
You're absolutely right, and shame on me for not putting any Saxon.
Yeah, that was a faux pas.
But it's so hard to narrow it down.
I hear you. All right, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is "Rock Until You Drop" from Raven.
Okay. Their first one.
Yeah, which had a huge impact on me growing up, for sure. You mentioned the Sweet. There's 2 Sweet covers on there.
I know they did Cockroach later. I'm trying to think. What was the Sweet covers they did on that?
Hellraiser and Action, the medley.
Yeah. That's why I forgot, because they were all part of the song. Which they played some of it when we saw them, when they did their medley, And they later covered Cockroach. Not this album. Did you get Metal City? I still haven't heard it.
I've heard it. I don't own it yet, actually, but I will eventually. It's good.
Yeah.
The
only reason I haven't got it because I want it on vinyl, and the only way to get it on vinyl is in Europe. I'm like, I'm not paying these fucking prices. And with this COVID, it guaranteed it ain't gonna be here for 6 months.
Yeah.
Shit takes forever to ship from Europe during this time,
No, it's a solid album. It's actually pretty good.
All right.
It's definitely the most substantial thing they've done in a long time.
Wow, and I really like that last one.
I think this one is definitely better than Extermination.
Wow.
But the first album, Rock Until You Drop, is just perfect through and through.
Yep, I have that on picture disc. I always wanted to get a regular cover, a regular version of that album.
I got it on picture disc.
Is it on your wall?
It is, and it's signed.
Nice. Right on. Yeah, mine's signed too.
Not by Wacko, though.
Yeah, mine either. My All for One cover is signed by the Gallagher brothers and, God damn it, why am I Michael Wagner? Yeah, he was at the expo too. They were all there, so I got them all signed by. It's the only album I got signed by the actual producer of the album.
You know what's interesting about Rob Hunter? I looked him up one day, and he doesn't really play drums anymore. I don't know why, but he did a lot of like producing. And I was going through his discography, and I see he produced a band called Wreckage. And I was like, wasn't Alex Marquez in a band called Wreckage?
Was it the same band?
And I clicked on it, and it was a release with Alex Marquez.
What?
It said produced by Rob Wacko Hunter.
And Alex never mentioned this shit to me.
He never mentioned it to me either.
You know what? I'm going to call Alex now and ask him why he never told me this. I'm going to put him on speaker. See if he answers. If he doesn't, then fuck it, I'll edit this out. Damn it, why ain't speaker working?
Hello?
Is this Alex Marquez?
Who?
Alex Marquez.
No, it's not Alex Marquez.
Did I get the wrong number?
Yeah, you probably did.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
No, it's cool, it's cool. Now I'm trying to $10, alright?
What? What'd he say?
I don't know.
They were laughing. They were goofing on me. Whatever they said. We'll hear it on the playback. Fuck them. All right, I got that number. I'm going to be crank calling them now. I'm going to give that number to Willie. You know Willie loves crank calling people.
Yeah.
Star 6-7 his ass. All right. Number 2. You gave your number 2?
Yeah, it was Rock Until You Drop.
All right, I'm going to cheat, Brutal Brian. My number 1's a tie. Because I'm sorry. I have to mention both these albums because they're so historic. My number 1 album is the first Iron Maiden and Killers. To me, dude, New Wave of British Heavy Metal is that first album. Totally. You know, it's got that raw production, the chainsaw sound during I'm Running Free, that middle section. Mm-hmm. Then there's Killers where, you got Martin Birch that, sparkled it up a bit, but still keeping that raw energy of the first album. I couldn't put Killers at number 2 or 3. I have to put them tied. Even though for the longest time, Killers has been my favorite Maiden album, but it's switched now. My favorite is Iron Maiden, the first album, just by a little bit though. They're pretty much tied, but I have to put it as a tie. My favorite is Iron Maiden and Killers. God damn it. I'll never forget walking into Specs Music, Westside Mall 1980. Never heard of this band before. Saw the album cover. I was like, what the hell? And I turned the album cover over, and there's Paul Di'Anno, looks like Rob Halford. You got Dennis Stratton with the red fucking leather pants like Glenn Tipton. You got Dave Murray dressed like, KK Downing, and then you have Steve Harris looking like Pete Way. But either way, I was like, I ain't walking out of this album with this store without this album. And holy crap, when I put that on and heard Prowler, it just changed my life. And it really put me on the, made me like a big fan of the new wave of British heavy metal because, at that time, soon after I started collecting Kerrang! Magazine, reading about all these bands like, Tigers of Pang Tang and Raven. And Iron Maiden really and I think, for the masses, Iron Maiden opened the floodgates to new wave of British heavy metal, I think,
I would agree with that.
So that is my number 1.
I'm surprised because I've heard you say before that you prefer the self-titled to Killers.
Yeah, I'm saying but maybe the last 3 years. Iron Maiden's, I changed my mind, but yeah, like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, it's been killers for decades, but no, it's changed. There's something about that first Maiden album that just, and I love that production. I know Steve Harris hates it, but I love it. It's so raw and it really matches the music really good. And I absolutely love Deano's voice. And of course, Clive Burr is like a monster drummer,
Absolutely.
And speaking of Marquez thinks Nico is better. I'm like, you're a drummer. You don't you tell me the same thing, Brutal.
No, I'm a Clive Burr fan.
Good. Right on. All right, so the number one new wave of British heavy metal album, according to Brutal Brian, is...
Got to give it up to Lightning to the Nations from Diamond Head.
Yep. Don't blame you. Like I said, it was tough keeping any of these off the number one.
I mean, to me, that is new wave of British heavy metal. That is everything embodied into one album.
Right.
It's the quintessential new album.
Yep, and it's got the hooks, man. It's got those infectious hooks in that song.
Yeah, it's great songwriting, very unique musicianship. The drummer on that album, I'm not even sure of his name, to be honest with you, but he was not particularly the greatest, but he had an incredibly unconventional way of playing, and it adds so much to the sound. Most drummers wouldn't approach it like he did. And that as a drummer, that makes a big impact for me.
I just looked it up. His name is Ricky Rocket.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's accurate.
Yeah, Wikipedia. Could be wrong.
Yeah.
All right. So there you go, everybody. That's our top 10. And you can leave your comments below, but don't be an idiot and say, "Where's this?" or "You should have." No, look, that's our list, man. Fuck you, right, Brutal?
Yeah. No Witchfinder General on this list.
No, yeah, I had to bring them up because they are very, very popular with the new wave of British heavy metal fans. But I just can't get into it.
To me, I mean, I know they're legendary. Yeah, I'm not denying that. But it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. There were so many bands coming out at that time. It was just like an explosion.
Yeah.
When you compare them to what else was coming out at the time, I just doesn't compare to me.
They got more of a doomy thing to them too.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really fit the mold.
Yeah, what about the High Notes?
I don't know who the High Notes are.
No,
wasn't that a band that turned into somebody else?
No. The singer of Witchfinder General.
Oh, the high notes he hits.
They're like squeals.
Yeah.
But hey, if that was on an album I liked better, I'd probably be praising it. So I'm not gonna.
Exactly. To anybody out there that likes Witchfinder General, you're right. I agree with you 100% that they're awesome. To you, it's like nothing against anybody. I like somebody. And I'm surprised. I'll be honest. I am surprised that Brutal Brian didn't like them. I expected it to be on your list because I know you're such a big new wave of British heavy metal fan, and they were, one of the popular ones.
Yeah. Well, man, I only like what's popular.
Yeah, that's right. Remember when we went to go see Coldplay?
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, what a show, man.
All right. So again, everybody, go down in the link below. You need to check out Midnight Spell, their new album. It just came out on what's the name of the record? Label?
Iron Oxide Records.
That's releasing it on vinyl, CD, and cassette. Cassette. Yeah. That's insane. It's insane. It's not on 8-track either, man. What's up with that?
The record label just wouldn't listen to me.
But anyway, so Brutal, every time I end my show, I say goodbye, and then I go in my vault. But I'm going to bring you in my vault this week. So join me, dude.
All right, let's do it.
All right, we're in the vault, and I want you to pick something off Midnight Spell. Everybody go check out the video, which is a little more on the commercial side, still very metal, but pick something that shows the different side of the coin of Midnight Spell.
I'm going to go with the title track of the album, Sky Destroyer.
You know how much I love that one.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I saw you guys live. I told you after the show, dude, that song right there. That song fucking rips. All right, here it is. Midnight Spell with Sky Destroyer. That Sky Destroyer from Midnight Spell. Hey, Brian, man, thanks so much for joining me on the Vieira Vault, man.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Always a good time.
Yeah, it is, man. It's always a blast here. And check out, don't only check out Midnight Spell, but any of the bands we mentioned tonight. If you haven't heard it, look it up. It's some good shit. All right, Brian, till next time, my friend. Schmack 'em a gob.
Schmack 'em a gob.